Good evening, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court. Appreciate you rocking with me today. We got a lot to cover. We got to cover the draft. We got to cover free agency. We have to cover summer league, training camp before we see the Knicks play again. But before we start covering the draft, I want to spend one more show on this past season in light of the ESPN top 25, under 25. I don't know if you've all seen it. None of the Knicks made the top 25, under 25 list. And I thought tonight we'll have a little fun and rank the top five Knick players under 25. We have 8 of them, but I'll ask each panel member to rank the top 5. So we'll have some fun with that. We'll talk about some trade rumors. It's early. The playoffs has just started, but there's trade rumors already. So we'll talk about that as well. And then we'll also give our quick perspective or our quick perspective of what we would like the front office to do this off season. So appreciate you again joining us. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime there's a video or we go live on this channel. That's the Queen's Court, the controversy, Knicks and Bruises, um, NBK report with Ron and John. I hope I didn't miss one. And then, of course, I'm Simeon Russell, the creator of this channel, will have you covered for all your off-season news. So stay right here with us. I'm joined today by Stafford Don from Blanche Tears, and Cornerstone Kev is with me. And we may have some guests join later on, but we're going to start with these three fellas. How are you?
Good evening, Queen. It is an honor, as usual, when you invite one of the iconic members of the pod couple. Cornerstone Kev, who's really the star. But tonight, you are the star. You are the golden star. So I like,
Appreciate
and
you
I
for crowning
appreciate
me
you.
that on my own show. I
Yeah,
appreciate
you
that.
know, so yes. I'll try to do improvise. I think it's improvising, whatever it's called, and everything. But thank you so much for having me tonight. It's an honor as usual. So
Always a
And
pleasure.
it's
I
a
knew he was doing the young players. I said I gotta call Kev, give him an opportunity.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Staffer,
and you know already, Queen. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. Much blessings and respect to you all the time. All right, so let's go. Let's get it cracking.
yeah, let's get it. And shout out to Tricky Nicky who told me I missed one, the crossover. Yes, the crossover that I actually co-host with Tony Crow. So thank you, Tricky Nicky, and everybody else who's with us. Croatia Knicks. Are you from Croatia? Are you listening to us from Croatia or watching us from Croatia? Akuma Uzumaki, Dark Matter, Ross 7, Angel Torres, Tosh. I don't know if I got that right. Duran, Wayne, appreciate all of you for joining with us. Um, joining us. So before I get to that, quickly, I wanted to run down 3 trade rumors. I was surprised when I was Googling Nick News today that trade rumors came up already. So just let's go through them real quick. Um, and basically, yes or no, would you do these trades? Yes or no, and why not? So the one I saw today was Randall and Kimba for Gordon Hayward. And let me just say this first. The narrative on the Knicks and the front office has not changed. Like you'll see, Knicks are willing to overpay for AD. Like the Knicks will take a broken down play. Like nothing has changed as far as the perception of the Knicks and the front office and what they would be willing to do. But anyway, Randall and Kimba for Gordon Hayward from Charlotte. Would you do that?
No,
Yes, Steph, you go first. Yeah, yeah.
no, I
I
wouldn't.
yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't either.
You said he could go first, Cap.
Well, yeah, he just said it, and I just said it myself. I didn't know if he was giving it. I know he's going to give you a reason, Steph. I apologize. Go right ahead.
No, that's okay. He is injury prone most of the time. I like his game still. He's a good vet, but I wouldn't take I wouldn't take the chance on going here. He had his chance to come here the first time. when he was a free agent, and he decided to go to Charlotte for more money. So no, I wouldn't take a chance. I'm keeping Randall.
Now, you keeping Randall, period, or just this particular trade doesn't work for you?
Yeah, this particular trade doesn't work for me.
Okay. Cornerstone?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Stepha Don. I'm not doing this trade either. I mean, you're talking about we're going from one injury prone player in Kimba to another injury prone player in Hayward. I love his game. Um, I love it, but his game does not match what he did in Utah and in Boston. And you need players out there to play for you to get you to that next level. You just can't have it half the time. And that's what he is. He's a half a time person. He'll play us great. And then the next game, we don't see him. So, and I don't even think he wasn't even on the playoff roster. Right, Steffa? Was he on the playoff roster?
I don't think so. He didn't play in that
No,
game.
no, he didn't play. He didn't play at all. He
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
play at all
yeah.
in the
Who who
play-in.
who
So
needs that? Exactly. Who needs that headache? So no, I'm gonna say no to this as well, and only for this trade, like you positioned it, Stephanie, on your
Yeah.
Instagram.
Sorry, Cam. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Um, I agree with the both of you because of the injury history. I mean, they played him. I think he's making $30 million a year. And I believe he was injured last year as well for a certain amount of games. I don't know if it was this long, but I think it was a significant amount of games that he missed last year. So I'm okay with them trading Randall, but you got to bring back a starter and not somebody that's injury prone. And I get it. There's some fans that want him going no matter what and would take, an injury risk player. It's just not something that I'm willing to do. And pretty much Geraldine MacGyver, appreciate you, said no. Fred Wong said no. Dimes and Knicks, I'm not doing that deal. Mike Morgan said no with 50,000 O's next to it. Angel Torres, Randall at least is a healthy player. Um, Tak, I hope I said that right, or Tosh. We need to find the best player that fits for the team. Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right. So another one that I came across was Randall and others for Anthony Davis of the Lakers.
another injury-prone star. I mean, oh goodness,
This is a little tougher because of the talent level, I suppose.
he is talented. You see, I got.
I, I get it.
I don't know. Go
All right.
ahead, Kevin.
Let's stop. Let me
Go ahead.
think about it a little more. All right, Kevin.
Yeah. 5 years ago, yeah. I would have done that trade. I don't know now because I question not only his availability, but now that he has won a championship, is he still hungry? We need hungry players here. We need players that want to win one for New York. So that's why I question is he still hungry enough, for it? He probably is. Uh he didn't make top 75, did he? He didn't
He
make top
did.
75.
He did.
He did. Okay. Um
I was surprised myself, but he
yeah.
did.
Yeah. I I question his health and I question his desire to win. Um, and I think that's it. That's it for me. I question his commitment to wanting to win. To
Okay.
win another one because
So
now
you don't have
he has.
issue. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say now because now that he's won one, no matter how you want to look at it, you know, because he's going to be also relied on as as one of the leaders on the team and everything. Does he want that responsibility?
So you
So,
don't have concerns about the health.
absolutely, yeah, that and the commitment. That's what I have a
Both of
question
them.
with, because again, we don't want another um situation that we have with with Gordon Hayward. He's one of those injury prone people, one of those injury prone players. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Staff, you need a little more time. If so.
You know what? That, but then is you said Randall and others. You see, and it's
Oh
a little
yeah,
question mark for me too. You know,
But
who
even
is
if it was,
others?
what if
Who
it's
is
just
others?
Randall?
If it's just, I doubt LA gonna just give up Randall and Anthony Davis swap like that. I don't. You got to give up something.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I wouldn't do it. And I just have a hard time with players with an injury history. Now, sometimes it works out, you know. Steph Curry, who had ankle issues for the first season
yeah,
or two. Ilgastis he was a center for Cleveland, who had foot
Right,
issues, a tall
mhm,
center, and
mhm,
then turned around. Embiid, who had injury issues his first few years. So sometimes it does turn around, and the player
right,
kind of
right.
moves beyond the issue, the injury that they're having. But you're rolling the dice, and
yeah,
it's always a roll of the dice. And I guess, is he talented enough? Do you like him enough that you would roll the dice that you might just get 50 games a year if you get that?
yeah. I know he's not on the same stature, but did Brooke Lopez have foot problems too when he was with New
With
Jersey at
the
the
with,
time? Yeah, with the
you know what?
Nets.
I don't remember. He might have had some injuries.
Hmm. Hmm. But then
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
he's not.
It's a no for me too.
Yeah,
It's no.
it's a no for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a no for me.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think the chat as well. If it's just Randall, Fred Wong said he would do it. Somebody else said AD is too costly. Tox. Um, Con, this guy still could be a triple double machine. I don't know if he's
yeah.
talking about AD or Randall. The Public Enemy, don't even speak. Oh, he's talking about Westbrook. Geraldine MacGyver, but Curry was younger. Big Shiesty, AD is Terry Claw. All right. And the last one, I've asked this question multiple times, but I don't think I've asked it to you two. So I'm gonna ask it for you two. Would you
Mhm.
trade Randall for Russell Westbrook, who has 1 year left on his contract? And what that would mean is that both, Randall's I think he has 4 years left. The extension kicks in next season, would be off the books, obviously, because you're trading him. And then Westbrook would be off the books after this season, and then you would have cap space to do whatever you want to do. Would you do that just to clear the books, trade Randall for Russell for 1 year?
Steph, you go first.
No, I'm not doing it. I don't. I do not need another head case. Um, he is shooting his worst in his career this year.
Mhm.
Um, then he's getting a lot of heckle and he's retaliating a lot, even though he comes out on the difference with Randall that he comes out and tells it like it is, and with New York people, I don't know if he could handle that type of criticism and all that heckling. So talented player. I like him. He's declining in his career, but Nah, I rather just deal with the headache that I have right now than a younger headache than a older diva headache. Brick can't
Even though it's
shoot.
just for 1 year, and you're gonna have
Yeah,
cap
yeah,
space.
even though for this year because I probably could get a
Wow.
better deal trading Randall. I probably could get a better deal than doing that.
Okay.
So no, I think I'm good on that.
Okay. Okay.
Stephadon, I think this is probably the only time where we'll disagree. Um, I would take a chance on him, and here's why. Between him and Randall, who would you say has had the better career?
Westbrook is not even a question.
Right. So I think this is my gut telling me. I think in a change of atmosphere, a change of venue, a change of um, circumstance, I think it might work out for a year for us because if it, if he comes here, you somewhat have for at least for a year you have your point guard position um, somewhat solidified, unless of course he knock on wood and something happens to his knees or something like that or his arm, whatever. Um, and I think that he's a better leader than what Randall is. I don't see him sulking off the floor. I see him empowering his team. Because everyone's going to be the young players are going to look to him automatically. Well, not just the young. I mean, I think everybody on the team's going to look to him automatically. So you got a guy who I think cares about cares about the players and will, I believe, he'll get you more wins and won't be as much of a headache as what Randall, was. He won't. I don't think he'll suck towards. He'll. I don't think he'll. Sulking is not the good word for it. I don't think he'll show a bad attitude um, towards towards his players, um, and I believe towards the fans. I think the fans will love him. They'll love him more than they would love Randall. Now with the media, now that's a totally different story because we've seen how he is with the media. That I don't think is changing. But if it's only for a year, I would I would roll the dice, with that one, for a year. So that's pretty much.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think, but one more question: how many teams
mm,
has he been on so far? He's been on OKC, he's been on Houston, he's been on um
Washington.
Washington, and now the Lakers. All right, so this will be his fifth team. So, and again, I think it for a year, no matter what he does, it's only for a year. I'm with it.
Yes, Sam, salute. The fans will love him till he bricks shots off the top of the backboard. Then it's on. I don't know if the fans in Westbrook gonna. And you know what? And this is the funny thing: the fans will tell you that um I Sherwin, okay. But the fans will tell you as long as you play hard, we'll love you and back you up. Well, Westbrook would test that because he's gonna play hard, no doubt about it. He's gonna come to play, he's gonna have the effort and energy. But in terms of as turn and as turn in terms of his shooting and things of that sort, sometimes he'll have mental lapses. I don't know. He'll play hard. I think the fans may get on him despite the fact that he's playing hard. Anyway, let's move on to
So,
um
Queen, are you doing
yeah,
it?
I'm not. I'm not. I'm
Oh,
not.
okay,
I want to.
okay,
Okay,
I
okay.
want to
okay,
trade
okay.
Randall for a starter. We're gonna trade him for a starter.
Well, he would be a
Um,
starter, right? Westbrook would be a
that
starter.
with some years on him, though.
Okay,
Um,
I see what
I'm
you're
not sold on the front office in free agency. I'm just not sold. I'm sold on them when it comes to the draft. I'm not sold on them when it comes to free agency. We had cap space last summer. So having cap space is good, but there has to be players available, and you have to be able to get them. So I don't know. I would prefer to trade for somebody that's under contract for a few more years, or somebody that, even if they're not under contract, we have intentions of keeping them
Right. I
and
agree.
and
Okay.
re-signing them.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Um, yeah,
Mhm.
but I don't have a. Um, I'm a fan of Westbrook. It's just that it's not a trade I would do. But anyway, let's get to um, the Knicks. So the Knicks have 8 players, believe it or not, under 25. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the slide, and then I'm going to ask you to pick 5 and rank them 5 through 1. So who's the fifth best Nick in your opinion under 25? 4, 3, 2, 1. And then talk to me a little bit about why you chose those 5 out of the 8 and why you ranked them the way you did. All right, so let's
I
bring
can't.
this up.
I can't
Hmm?
choose all 8, right?
You cannot choose all 8, Cav.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. All right. So these are the Knicks players under 25. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin. What's Grimes' first name again? All right.
Quentin.
Quentin
Quentin
Grimes,
Grimes.
Cam Reddish, Jericho Sims, and Miles McBride. Those are the 8 Knicks players under 25. So I'm gonna ask you to pick 5 of them, and then let's start. Let's do it in turn. Who would you say is the 5th best prospect under 25? Who would be number 5 for you? And if you need to get a little scrap paper and write it down and rank them, I'm not mad at you.
The fifth best. I am going with
Or you can name your top 5. Well, however you want to do it. Whatever's most comfortable for you.
Step it down. How you want to do? You want to do a top 5, or you want to do one at a time?
no, it don't matter to me. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. But
Let's
I'm a
let's let's
I'm
do
a
our, let's do our 5 then. Let's do 5.
Let's do
okay.
your 5, and then we'll break it down from there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will go with let me go and start from number one.
Yeah, let's start with
I'll
number
go
1.
I'll go RJ number one.
Mm-hmm.
I will go uh, Mitchell Robinson number two.
Okay.
Obi Toppin number three.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly number four. Oh boy, this is a tough one, boy. This one is a tough one. You know what? I'm going with potential, even though I haven't seen him play since college. So I'm going with Cam Reddish.
Okay.
That's my 5.
All right. Kev, you with us, Kev?
It'd be nice if I could take off the mute button.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna go from 5 to 1.
Okay,
Um.
that works.
So number 5 for me is going to be um. This will surprise you. It's going to be Robinson for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Number 4 is going to be
Mm-hmm.
Obi Toppin. Number 3 is going to be not Quentin Grimes. It's going to be Cam Reddish.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 will be Emmanuel Quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and me and Steph and Don are running the money on our number one. It's going to be RJ Barrett, and that's my five.
Wow.
So my five is um, Robinson, Obi, um, Reddish, IQ, and RJ Barrett.
Yeah. I'm going RJ, IQ, Grimes, Obi, and Mitch. And let's see what the before we start chomping it up, let's see what the chat is saying. Geraldine MacGyver is going Mitch first. Is
Mm,
wow. Then RJ, then IQ, then Grimes, then Obi. This is great. Like, because you think when we're talking about these young players, we're all seeing them pretty similarly, but
hmm
obviously not. Appreciate you, Andrew. Obi number one.
mm,
Wow. RJ number two, IQ three, Cam is four, and Grimes is five. The phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. So if anybody wants to hop on and talk about why you rank them this way, that would be great. Sharon M, we put him up. I respect some of your opinions. Just a dig at him. He digged at me a little bit. Um,
hmm
he has RJ one, Mitch two, Cam three, Grimes four, and IQ five. Okay.
he hates Obi.
What?
He,
He
he
said
hates Obi.
IQ?
Yeah, he hates Obi.
IQ five, but yeah, Obi's
I know,
not
I'm
it.
surprised he even said IQ too.
Me too.
hmm hmm
D Moore 914, RJ first, Obi second, IQ
mm
third, Cam fourth, Mitch fifth. Okay. Okay. All right.
hmm
And Sim has Barrett one, Reddish two. Wow, Reddish two, IQ three, Obi four, and Robinson five. Okay. All right.
And honestly, either way, especially with Sims, either way you look at it, that's a formidable starting five for this Knicks team. In my opinion, maybe I mean if you want to switch something out, maybe IQ,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, I'm liking this starting five.
Yeah, I think the only I had pretty similarly, but I had them in different orders, and I had
hmm
Grimes instead of Reddish.
Right.
And
And why is that?
because Reddish has a high ceiling that he may or may not reach, but Grimes has a high floor, and I know he's going to be if he's nothing else, he's going to be a good defender and 3-point shooter. I was looking at Cam's stats today. He's
hmm
been a poor shooter throughout his career. From both, I think from two he's under 40%, and from three um, he's about 30 something percent. So
mm
him and RJ and Randall have these efficiency issues that may or may not get straightened out. I know what I'm going to get in Grimes. But again, I haven't watched Reddish all that much. I mean, so the sample size for me in terms of personally watching him is pretty small.
I agree too. That's what I said. I haven't seen him since college, and I'm going off of potential. So
Hmm.
that's why I got him at number five.
Yep. That's the number. If you want to definitely call in and talk about your choices. I'm interested in it.
Sim
Thomas
said,
Banks. Yeah, go
"Oh
ahead.
yeah."
No, go
No, I
ahead.
was going to say that Sim said that I know we haven't seen a lot of Cam Reddish, but I believe Cam has more potential than IQ, OB, and Robinson. Do y'all
I
agree with
believe
that?
so. Yeah,
Okay.
he has a higher ceiling for sure. If he pops, it's another level. I think, like I said, Grimes has a high floor. I don't think his ceiling is that high. You
hmm
know, if Reddish plays to his potential, he's on another level. No doubt about it.
Right.
Thomas Banks in order has Obi number two.
Mm.
Um, behind RJ, Mitch number three. Wow.
Mm.
Cam four and IQ five. Let's get a few more of these. Jonathan Green, RJ, Obi, IQ, Cam, and Grimes. So everybody pretty much has RJ first, Um, and then,
It looks like they're flip flopping with Grimes.
oh really?
Well, no, I take that back because I see Cam in there. I was thinking people would be flip flopping between Cam and Grimes, but Jonathan has Cam and Grimes in his thing, so
Yeah, he doesn't have Mitch. He
he
doesn't
doesn't
have
have a Mitch
Mitch.
in there.
Who's
And I'm
that?
assuming
Somebody has Deuce. Big Blue 56, RJ 1, Obi 2, Quickly 3, Cam 4, and he's very high on Deuce. Higher than
now,
Cornerstone Kev because Deuce
yeah.
didn't make his list.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm giving I'm going by a lot by what you, Sim, and the rest of the people are saying about how these kids have got to grow per se, and it's only their first year. So that's the reason why I left McBride out and was looking more towards the other guys that are kind of more established. But I do believe that McBride is going to be, if we have this same conversation 2 years from now, I know McBride will be in there. So that's why I'm not giving McBride and Sims that much, shine, and even Grimes to a point and everything. I think if Grimes would have probably played in the last few games, I might have switched. But I just think Grimes has not Grimes. I think Reddish has a little bit more than these three, put together.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Ken Roberts with the Sims love. RJ first, Reddish second, Grimes third, Obi fourth, and Sims five. Mitch didn't even make the top five under 25 on the New York Knicks.
And,
I'm not mad at you.
right.
I'm not mad at you.
And
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why if they're saying that because they don't believe Mitch is going to be on the team come the following year. Because
Okay, Ken Roberts. If
that's another
yeah,
possibility.
Ken Roberts. Any reason you put, if you care to answer, Sims over Mitch, you can call in or um put it in the
Comments.
chat. Yeah, put it in the comments. Sherwin N. He doesn't like IQ offense, but loves his defense.
Okay.
That's a good question. Are we talking potential or the best lineup? I was just picking the best five, regardless of whether or not they can play together
Right.
or not.
Right.
I'm just thinking the best five talent. But if somebody wants to pick their best starting five out of this group, that works too. That works too.
Well, that's
I was
fine.
just thinking about the just the five best prospects
But
on this
but you
team, but it's tough with just five because if you
right
pick Reddish, you leaving off Grimes. If you pick Grimes, you're leaving off Reddish, or you leaving off somebody else. So
right.
five is
And you said it would
um
be difficult.
five is difficult because you got to leave off three. So usually, for the most part, that's been McBride being left off, Sims being left off, and then one of the other um one of the other six.
Yeah.
I
And
got
again,
Grimes as my sixth man coming off the bench.
okay.
He's bringing energy. He's bringing
Yeah.
defense, and I
Yeah.
know I could once he got it going in his 3-point shooting. I
Hmm.
know I could get her. So I'm bringing him off the. I'm bringing him off the bench. Bringing him off the bench.
Now, Steph, let
Yeah,
me
I
ask you,
got.
Steph Adon, let me ask you a question. Going into next year, do you see any of our rookies in Grimes, Sims, and McBride? Do you see them getting any meaningful minutes next year in the rotation?
Pardon me. Which three again?
Um, our rookies, McBride, Sims, and Grimes.
They ain't gonna be rookies next
Right,
seasons.
exactly, exactly. So now that
So
that rookie tag is going to be off of them, do you see them getting any minutes in the rotation? Do you see them being in the
well,
rotation? Let's say that.
well, just because Leon Rose put in his letter to the fans saying that how it's all about the young core. young core. So I see them playing minutes, but as far as like McBride, I think he's probably going to be situational. Grimes, I know, is going to be in the rotation, and probably Sims is going to be in the rotation also too, depending on what happens with Mitchell Robinson, or we keep Mitch and trade Noel. So
Right.
you know, I think what Sims showed in the past couple of games, I think the office likes him. I think coach likes him, so I think he will get some minutes. And for Cam, I don't know. Cam,
Well,
I don't
I
know,
think
but
I think Cam can start. I honestly do believe that Cam can start. And you talk about Sims. My wife loves Sims. She calls
Watch
him the
out
youngin.
now.
Yeah, she calls him the youngin. She calls him the youngin. So there you go.
yeah, well,
All right,
well, I mean, well, go ahead, Queen. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. Let me get to this phone call, and then we'll get right back to the conversation.
Sure.
Calling you on the air. What's your name? Where you from?
Tricky Nicky from Michigan.
Hey, Tricky
Hey,
Nicky,
Tricky Nicky, how are you?
how you doing?
Good, you? How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing
Pretty
good, man.
good, pretty good.
Good.
Happy after Easter, you know.
Thank you. You too.
Same to
You the
you.
same.
Let's be real though. When you're talking the starting lineup for next year, I
No,
think it
I'm
has
not
to
talking the
be
starting lineup for
based
next year.
around IQ at point guard. Then you're looking at RJ and Cam being in the starting unit. And with those players, I don't know if you flip flop Cam and RJ, you know, and put them at their natural positions. Maybe you should. I don't know. But I'm saying if Mitch doesn't, you know, re-sign with the team, then you got to look at possibly Sims starting at center. And the way he played recently, like the young guys. And then you got to put Obi, and you got to trade Randall. I would actually blow everything up, and that would be my starting five. I would have IQ, RJ, Reddish, Obi, Sims. I would blow it all up. That'd be my starting five. I wouldn't trade away any picks. I'd actually try to create assets by trading away Randall and bringing in youth. And then, like, to your point, though, with, I think it was Steppadon that said it, um, Deuce McBride, yes, he's just going to have to play that role that IQ had to play, you know, in his second year and prove himself. He's going to have to play it this year. Like, and there's other players, Grimes. He's going to have to prove it.
Now,
That's what I
with this
feel
starting,
like. I feel like the Knicks need to head a different direction and just growing up together. And like I said, RJ Barrett. When I see RJ Barrett and I see Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin on the floor together, I see happiness. I see confidence. Like, even if they're not winning, they're still happy. They're talking about things, you know, they're handling things, and they're happy with Tibbs for some reason. I can't figure that one out yet. But
let,
I
let me
agree
let me
with you.
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. The team you just mentioned, are you going to the playoffs with that team, or you just developing them so that they'll get better and at some point become a playoff team?
the team I just mentioned will get you 30 wins.
Okay.
So you're looking at another losing season. But I think maybe possibly the next year,
Okay.
you're looking at a situation where you pull in a star. Maybe somebody's going to have to take a back seat. Maybe it's RJ. And maybe you get a star, say, like, I don't want to say it because a lot of Knicks fans want this. But, for example, Donovan Mitchell. Maybe RJ has to take the seat. Like, but what I'm
Well, there's
saying
enough
is
room
you
for
can't
two.
continue on this path of, hey, let's go with Julius Randle. Let's go with – and Randle's really, honestly, he's not even a vet. You know, he's not a veteran type player. He's young. But, like, the players You got to find the players that are going to be able to handle it. But I would say, yes, we get 30 to 40 wins next year with that lineup. But you could also do a lot more. And the reason I'm only saying this is because if you trade Randall and Obi is starting with that lineup, potentially, yes, we could be in the playoffs. But who do we get for Randall? Who do we get for Rose? Who do we, those are guys.
Oh, you would have to bring back. You would have to bring back
Get rid of
starters.
Noel. Get rid of Noel. Like, that saves us, what, 10 million? So, like, how do we put that money into a guy that's going to help us make the playoffs? But that, honestly, would be my starting unit unless you find somebody better. Because I'm telling you right now, what I just saw from IQ and Obi with RJ in there, I saw happiness, confidence, and results. When I saw Randall in there, I didn't see that at all. Period.
Gotcha. Appreciate you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
All righty. Take care.
Thank you, Steph.
All right. Appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, at least he was realistic. If you're gonna break the team down to that level, and he did say depending on who you get back, but if you're getting back draft picks and things like that, and you're resetting, don't expect to go to the playoffs. And if you're okay with that, then definitely break it down. I wanted to ask Stafford Don question. You got Mitch very high. Well, I shouldn't say very high. That's a bias. That's my opinion that he's very high. You got Mitch second over Obi, IQ, and Reddish. What you're thinking there?
You know what, to tell you the truth, he wasn't supposed to be number 2, put it like that. When I said that 5, I was just thinking that the top 5.
Oh, not particularly in order.
Not particularly in order.
Understood. There's nothing wrong with. There's a lot of fans.
But I still had RJ at number 1. I still had RJ at number 1. But if I had to switch, I would still have him at probably number 4, and just bump down everybody else who I have there. That's about it. But Mitch has to be in the 5.
Yeah, I'm looking at the similarities. All of us had RJ. All of us had IQ. All of us had Obi. And all of us had Mitch. And I think after that, it was...
I had Cam.
Reddish. Right. Both of you had Reddish and Grimes. I wanted to ask you, and shout out to Locked On Knicks podcast, where I got the idea for the show. So I want to give them credit. They do great work over there. Yes, we'll put the phone number in the chat again. I don't know. Is it pinned? It might be pinned to the top, but we'll put it in the chat again so that you can call in. But they had it was 3 of them. 2 of them had IQ over RJ. Any thoughts? Is it even close? And I think the reasoning was that, IQ just has to work on decision making. He has to work on getting to the rim more and finishing, where RJ had to develop his mid-range more, had to develop his pull-up threes more, had to work on his efficiency, so that there was much more he needed to work on than IQ to become a very good NBA player. Any thoughts on that?
Wow, that's
I just think
different perspective.
I just think it's yeah.
That's a different perspective. I mean, I think it's two different styles of game. One's a downhill player who gets to the rim, uses his left a lot. Just starting to create his own shot off the dribble. I think he's shooting 30 something percent from three or 40 something percent. I'm not sure.
Who's
I'm not sure
this?
from his RJ.
RJ this year from 3, 34.2%.
34. All right. So I think that went up from last year.
No, that's down from last year.
It went
Yeah,
down.
I was about to ask that. I was about to ask
It
that.
went down. It went
His
down.
field
Yeah,
goal
no,
percentage
it went down.
and 3-point percentage is down. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them went down. So it was a down year. I said for the team in overall, but in hindsight, it I'm still taking RJ over IQ.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Can I ask y'all? Can I ask the both of y'all a question? I mean, we're
What?
talking.
Let me get to the caller first,
Oh
Cad,
yeah. Absolutely.
and then you can take over the co-hosting duties.
Too much.
Caller, you live. What's your name and where you're from?
Hello, this is Sherwin from Westchester.
Sherwin?
Oh my goodness.
Sherwin M?
This is Sherwin M.
Wow.
Oh wow.
What a pleasure. What a pleasure.
Yes. Welcome
What's on your mind?
I have a couple questions, mainly for Kevin.
Oh, really? For me?
Kevin, I want you to tell me what qualities do you see in Obi that makes him a good player?
What qualities?
Yep.
Okay, he can run the floor. He can run the floor. He can finish at the basket. He's improved on his jump shot as of late. And when he gets the time, he expands on everything that I just mentioned. When he gets the time, instead of having not to worry about being taken out the game, just to favor the star, as they say. So that's what he does
Let me
great.
speak to you as a coach now. What would you tell your players to do to Obi?
What would I tell my players to do to Obi?
Let's say you're defending Obi. As I used to be a coach. What would you tell your players to do?
What would you tell them? What would you tell them? Let me.
You're the coach. What would you
You're the
tell
coach.
them?
What would you tell them?
Just let him shoot.
But you do realize towards the end of the season, he's been shooting much better.
Yes.
Than
in April, he shot like the best player in the NBA, but that's sustainable. It's not going to last.
How do you know?
April or summer league numbers.
How do you know that's not going to last? How do you know?
Because he shot almost 50%. That's NBA history of shooting. It never happened before. He cannot shoot that much.
But even if he doesn't shoot 50%, even if he shoots 35%, and they have to respect him at the 3-point line, it does open up his game some.
But even if he starts hitting them, I'm going to tell one player to get closer. Don't let him shoot because he cannot penetrate. He cannot post up. There's nothing he does.
I will disagree with you on some of that. Now the post up part, we haven't really seen a lot of post up, from him. But
I've seen him attempt to post a point guard up and he can't.
I seen that his rookie year, but the second year was different. But he has put the ball on the floor. Listen, he's a second-year player. I'm with you, Sherwin, in the sense that I'm not going to look at his last 5 games and based on that say he can start in this league. He's the face of the franchise. Because I've heard that as well. I'm not going to say that based on that. However, regardless of the defense, you can still see his skill development. because I've
Right.
seen him when they were closing out of him put the ball on the floor and go into the and go into the lane.
Yes.
So if he
Yes.
Yeah, but
builds on that, he will be a better player. I'm just saying, let's pump the brakes and let's just go slow and allow his game to develop and not just go over the top. But I'm not going to sit here and say that he hasn't developed. He has.
Yes.
you would
Yes.
develop into what?
Into what? Into
Yes,
a formidable NBA player. I mean, we're not
I
saying
don't,
that
I
he's going
don't,
to be a
I don't see
star.
a formidable NBA player. I see a 10 minutes to 15 minutes a game player at best.
Well, that's your opinion. I mean,
But that's right
what we're
now. Are you
that's
saying for
right
his
now.
entire career?
No, I'm speaking of right now. What I see
Oh,
is
okay.
10 minutes to
Right
15
now.
player max.
Right now. I mean, if you want to say right now, he's 15, 20 minutes a game. Okay.
Not, not 20, 10 to 15.
Okay.
So Sherwood, let me
I
ask you
am
this: if
what
they
the
trade
coach is doing
Randall,
now. I think the coach is doing a great job developing him. He's not fit to do more than what the coach have him doing.
so Sean, I get what you're saying.
Something you could go to the G League and find.
Sean, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So let's say they trade Randall, right? Are you starting Obi next season? Is
No,
Obi in your starting lineup?
I'm gonna. If they trade Randall, I'm gonna go look for power forward. Obi cannot play that position. He's not good enough.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
I mean,
I
what
don't
I will go
like.
ahead.
I'm not. I'm also not a big fan of IQ because I don't think he's team first player. He looks for his own shot. As a coach, I will have him sitting on the bench next to me for that reason. But I love IQ's defense and is able to score. He just doesn't look for his teammates as a point.
I would agree
Maybe
with you.
enough for your taste. I mean, he's definitely a shoot first point
Yeah.
guard, as most of the point guards in the NBA are at this point. But this is what I will say about Obi starting. And I was thinking about this. Well, Sharon, you don't have to stay on the line for this. I appreciate you. I appreciate the call, and I appreciate your opinion.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Bye bye. This is what I was saying about Obi starting. Anybody can start in this league. It just depends on what you're trying to do as a team, right? I mean, look at OKC, look at Detroit, look at Orlando. Their players starting on that team. Some of them are very talented, and some of them, if it was a winning team, they wouldn't even be in the league. You know what I mean? So anybody can start. I think for Obi, if we had a strong, if the other four on the team were very strong and they were the one driving the team, I think you can start Obi because you're not expecting him to do more than what he's already doing.
Excellent
You
point.
understand?
Excellent
So
point.
if you got strong players at 1, 2, 3, and 5, you can start Obi at the 4. What are you asking him to do? You're asking him to play a role. You understand? And obviously, if you're not trying to go to the playoffs, he can start on a team like that as well. He can start on OKC and get 40 minutes. You
Steph,
know
let
what
me
I
ask you.
mean?
Steph, let me
Let me
ask you
let me
what.
just
Oh,
this is
yep,
my
yep,
last point. Last
yep.
point.
Mhm.
However, if you're going to tell me that you're going to take this team, you're going to swap out Randall, put in Obi, you're going to swap, you're not going to bring in a point guard, you're going to start IQ. That team is going straight to the lottery. So I don't think Obi can start on a playoff team and be a 1, 2, or even 3 option. Put it that way on a playoff team at this time. At this time. But if you have strong people at the other position, yeah, you can start him. You're not going to ask him to do more than what he's already doing.
Okay,
Go ahead,
Steph.
Kev. You had a
Yeah.
question.
So what I was gonna say, remember your questions earlier that if we traded Randall for and
Hmm.
if we did trade Randall for a Russell Westbrook, do you think Obi's game would excel more, or what do you think? Because you talk about strong willed players and
Right.
everything, you
Not no
can't
no
get no.
no. not strong-willed, strong games.
Strong game.
You know,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
well, he's strong
And
game. He
Westbrook
is
has a
strong game.
strong game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
As long as at this point you're not asking Obi to be a 1, 2, or 3 option or number 3
Mm-hmm.
option, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he could start. You're just asking him to play his role. You're asking him to rim run. You're asking him to hit 3 pointers if the ball is out to him. You're asking him to rebound. You're not asking him to, be one of the main options driving the team. So yeah, and in a sense, and on a team like that, sure, you
Sure.
could start him. Yeah, you could definitely start him. Um, any for those Stafford and Kev where Grimes didn't make the list. I know for Stafford, you said he was the sixth man.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Kev, on the players who didn't make your list and why?
Oh, they're young. They're young. It's their first year, and they really
Mhm.
didn't to my um to my liking, they didn't get the time that I was hoping that they would get. And I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't, have them, on my list per se. The reason, and people say, well, you had Cam Reddish on your list. Well, Cam Reddish is an estat, to me is an estat, is his third year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
so I'm gonna, put him on there like that. Those three guys, they just need more marinating, and they
Hmm.
will be fine. And I have to believe that next year Tibbs will have those guys in his rotation somehow, some way. Two of the three, at least Grimes and Sims, will. I kind of agree with Steph Don about McBride, but all McBride has to do again is show out in summer league and show out in training camp, and just put it on Tibbs's mind that you have to use this guy in some capacity, and then he'll be fine. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
so that's the reason why I had them off my list. As much as I would love to put McBride on there, I
Hmm.
can't because he did not get the reps or the time
Right,
that I would have
right,
loved for him to
right.
have.
So you left off the rookies, and
Yeah.
in your reasons, Stafford Don for leaving off who you left off, which was McBride,
Yeah, yeah,
Sims, and Grimes.
yeah.
Same reason.
Well, I mean, we seeing Grimes. He, as I said before, he'll be my sixth man. Just in case if anybody was to get hurt, I got him coming off the bench, as I said. Bringing a lot of energy, and I could get the 3-point shot from him and defense. And then, and I'm in agreement with Kev too. Sims and Grimes didn't get that much seasoning on the senior team,
Hmm.
right? Because those guys are down in the G League, and so they was more getting more experience down there, more burn down there. So we didn't. Well, I didn't get to see the Westchester games where he was playing, but the few that I see he was playing, he was very tentative at first.
Hmm.
He didn't really have the ball in his hand. When he did have the ball in his hand, he passed the ball very quickly.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he wasn't the person initiating the offense.
Hmm.
Hmm.
The only one good game I can remember is when he played that whole second half when Derrick Rose went down in Houston,
Hmm.
and that was his coming out right there. So he had a good game right there, and then, but then after we didn't get to see too much because of the Kemba thing, and
Right.
and then he went back to the bench. So and then with Sims, he just came on late in the season. I guess they wanted to take a look at him to see what he have, because Mitch is up in the air. But these guys got potential. They just, as I agree with Kev, they just got to get some more seasoning, some more growth. I do believe Sims may get some minutes also too. If I'm thinking we trade Noel, he's definitely in the rotation.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
or they just sit Noel and he's in the rotation, period, instead of situational, probably have Noel situational.
Right.
So but knowing this coach and he loving his vets, it's a whole nother story, Queen. So yeah, that was my reason for leaving those guys off.
Yeah, I the same. I agree with both of you, and I can't argue with Reddish over Grimes. I picked Grimes because I haven't really seen a lot of Reddish, and the little bit that I've seen in Grimes, I can't lie. I just like his like you. Reddish comes across to me as somebody who's going to be up and down for a little while until he finds his, until he finds his rhythm. And Grimes is somebody you just know what you're going to get. But I can't argue with Reddish over Grimes because I think Reddish has a much higher. Um, uh-oh. Can you hear
Ceiling,
me?
yeah,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
he
Okay.
was he was a lottery pick also too. So
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Yeah, to me, I think Grimes, I think Reddish fits that mold starting as either a small forward or yeah, he can really play all four positions, can he?
yeah, I mean
Um,
in a small ball setting, if he was it was to play small ball and you put
Okay,
him at the four,
so more of a two and a
but
three, two and a three.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
I would say so. Would you
yeah,
say so, Queen? 2 or 3?
for for Reddish,
Cam,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
2 or 3. I think in a pinch he could play 4. A stretch 4, but he's really
right,
light. He has the length, but he's really light. So
yeah,
as long as
yeah,
somebody's not posting him up and he's playing a 4 on the perimeter, I think he could do. I think he can defend out on the perimeter.
yeah.
Um, look,
absolutely.
let me. What do you guys think about this before we move on to the last
Hmm.
segment and get out of here? What's that?
Rapper
Rapper a
Stone.
stone? Well, okay. Y'all
Yeah,
see his name.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to. The only potential to become a superstar is quickly. RJ Barrett can become a really good player who averages 19 points per game, and Sims has potential to win Defensive Player of the Year if given more minutes. Wow, that's a. I would say that Sims, not Reddish, has that potential too, to be to be a
Absolutely,
superstar, and
absolutely.
um and I think RJ Barrett as well. I mean, I see both. I see RJ Barrett becoming a star, but I also see where people are coming from when they say, "Oh, RJ would probably be like 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, real solid, but not a superstar." I see both. I see both potentials. RJ is one of those who has a high floor, in my opinion, and a high ceiling. He has both.
Right,
Yeah.
And not to mention, the team really radiates to RJ. Everybody, I think the team is really looking towards RJ as well. So, I think the sky's the limit for RJ. I honestly do. I honestly do.
He has to get that efficiency up, though. Um,
So, so,
that would help him.
so, I hear you and Sims always talk about this efficiency. What is efficiency, and what do you
Meaning,
need them? Go ahead.
meaning that he needs a lot of. If it's like a player who scores 20 points on you know 10
10
shots,
shots.
is a very efficient player. Somebody who scores 20 points on, I don't know,
Let's say he
20
makes
shots.
seven out of 10, Kev.
That's
That's
very
efficient
efficient.
right there.
Okay.
That's 70%. That's super efficient.
Okay.
But if somebody is taking 10 shots and they only hitting 4,
Like they
that's
hitting
Yeah,
all these
40.
free
that's
throws. That's
that.
a problem. That's
No,
okay.
no, no.
All right.
Efficiency is percentage. So you took 10 shots, you only hit 4. That's 40%. You're not very efficient.
Right.
Had you hit 5, one more, 50%, that's really good.
Okay.
From the free throw line, you took 10 free throws, but you only made
Yeah, that's a
6 of
problem.
them.
That
That's
I think.
60%.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So that's what I mean, that the percentages are low. Their shooting percentages are low, basically. But
Like
we have a
IQ,
caller,
he's very efficient from the free throw
free throw
line.
line.
Yes. He is. I
And
totally
Obi is
agree.
very efficient
Around the
field
rim.
goal percentage, but he shoots closer to the basket, so that has something to do with it.
Right.
But we have a caller. Caller, you're live. What's your name and where you're from?
Seth, Concord, North Carolina.
How are you?
A couple of weeks ago, Stephanie, I'm doing fine. Anyway, in regards to what players are for the Knicks are essentially trade bait at this point, that depends. I mean, we've heard the rumors that, for example, Donovan Mitchell wants to leave Utah and join the Knicks because his dad works for the Mets. Doing that would require moving a major piece. The biggest piece I think we can get rid of is Randall, but the trade-off comes from getting rid of one ball-dominant player for another ball-dominant player. Is that true or false?
That is true. I don't know if being ball dominant is the issue. I think the issue is more IQ, playmaking, decision making. Because you look at the Clippers, they had Kawhi Leonard and Paul George,
Paul
two
George.
ball. Yeah, it can work. Miami had LeBron James and
Dwayne
Dwayne
Wade.
Wade. It can work, but you got to have high IQ players when you have two ball dominant players that know how to play off of each other.
My question is, does Mitchell have that IQ if we get rid of Randall for him?
He has a high. You don't think he has a better
I
feel
do.
for the game than Randall?
Yeah. I think he does.
Well, that's what I was trying to get some level of confirmation. The other thing is, if we want to keep these kids around, there are some pieces we really need to work on. For example, Jericho Sims. He's a great free throw shooter. He's a great rebounder, good glass cleaner, and good when it comes to dunks. The problem is he's not good at the mid range, and his free throw shooting is basically horrible. He's got to work on that in the off season.
No doubt about it.
Okay.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And caller, I agree with you as well. But the thing about it is, you only saw Jericho Sims get more time towards the end of the season, so that's something that he has to work on as far as his free throws and everything else that you said. So hopefully, in the coming year, he'll have more of a maybe a defined role in the rotation. If again, if
that depends on one factor: how often Mitch gets hurt, or if Mitch gets shipped out. I mean, given Mitch's back problems that flared up throughout the year, I'm starting to wonder if he's coming down with spinal stenosis. I know this is something that pops up more often in baseball than it does in basketball, but the negative effects still apply.
Well, let me ask you this, caller: who would you have more faith in? Would you have more faith in him, or would you have more faith in Noel?
Between Mitch and Noel?
Yes.
Mitch and Noel or Sims and Noel? Which one?
No. Noel. Because what's going to happen is, if Mitch does stay here, I have more faith in him and his health than I would in Noel. And we gave Noel, quite a bit of money. That was quote unquote maybe wasted.
I don't know. I mean, what was Noel basically out for most of the year for? Foot issue?
I'm not even sure at this point
Not
if it
even
was a
sure at
foot
this
or
point.
Yeah, I think it's his knee. I think it's his knee.
knee. Okay.
I mean, we could have used. He was desperately needed, and he never showed up for most of the games because of that knee issue. And in basketball, as is in the case with most sports, your knees are the first things to go, aren't they?
Yeah, well, probably in most cases.
Yeah, in most cases. But the thing with with Mitch was, for the most part, for this year. I mean, I know he's playing for a contract, but for the most part, we were able to depend on Mitchell Robinson this year. He was. Does anybody know off top of their heads how long the longest he was out for this year?
I think Mitch played like 70 something games or
Yeah,
something
he
like
I think
played.
he had a COVID protocol stint at one point.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So he had a protocol, but it wasn't like last year where he first hurt his
No.
hand and then he hurt his
No.
his foot when he came back and everything. So we just
Right.
so for the most part he was he was healthy. So I guess what I'm getting at is I don't at the center position unless he takes a bag somewhere else. I believe that we can depend on those two between him and Sims. Locking down our center position, and I think they'll be. I think they'll be successful.
So basically, get rid of Noel and a cap dump.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Definitely.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
All right, caller. Thank you. Appreciate you for calling.
Okay. Night.
All right.
Good night. Good night.
All right.
Guys,
anything last on this before we move on? Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say. What was the last thing we were going to do?
I just wanted to, because I'm trying to get out of here too.
Okay.
The last thing I was going to ask is, what do you think should be the priority for the front office in the off season?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Off the back, the coach and the front office have to be on the same page, because I don't think they were. They got to work on that dynamic. They got to get on the same page, because I don't know if they were on the same page with Cam Reddish. I don't know if they were on the same page with Kemba Walker.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to get on the same page.
Yeah. I want to trade for a point guard. Either trade for a point guard or sign one in the off season. You got a lot of expiring point guards coming up. You got some unrestricted free agents gonna be there. Do something, front office. Be active. So we need a floor general. We need somebody to calm Randall down and put RJ in his spots, put Randall in his spots. So yeah, I need a point guard.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me. Oh, you go ahead, Steph. What do you want
Yeah,
to say?
similar, because then you can address both of us. One, we either need to trade Randall for a starter or get him right. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you forget his game. I don't know how you get him to commit to this team on the defensive end, how you get him to be engaged 100% throughout the game, and how you get him to hone his emotions. If they could do that, I would be good with Randall. If they can't do that, or if Randall can't do that, because it's really on him, trade Randall for a starter and get a point guard. I think Quickly will be ready at some point in the future, but I don't think he's a starter on a playoff team unless, like I said with Obi, those other four positions are really, really strong. I'm thinking back to Boston when they had Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen. Rondo was like a rookie in his first or second year. I mean, that lineup was so strong, he could start. So
one thing. God bless you, Stephen.
Thank you.
I got to ask you about last year. Do you think with fans not being in the stands, that kind of alleviated any? Did that help them play better? Because it seems like they took a step back this year with fans in the stands now. With fans being out being out and not being allowed, mainly towards when we got into the playoffs. Do you think with fans now there that had something to do with them taking a step back?
I wonder. I would like to see the numbers if shooting is just down overall compared to last season when there were no fans. I would like to see that. But I definitely noticed that last year with no fans, Randall's numbers was up,
Yeah.
RJ's numbers were up,
Right.
percentages was up,
Right.
and this year they're down. But I'm wondering if that's all across the league. I don't have those stats.
What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, I am in agreement with Steph also too.
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
I really don't believe in that because
You don't believe it? Oh, okay.
the whole team percentage is down. So
Okay. So you
yeah,
It
so
is.
you're more of a thing of teams didn't really just know how to play us. They think they were going to just walk all over us and just and
no
get.
Kev, no Kev.
No, I'm just saying.
We're gonna play defense, but it's not to walk all over us, but we're gonna play good defense. You
Right.
know,
Yeah, I see what you're
one
saying.
thing about Tom Thibodeau, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
he is gonna play defense. He'll pull you out for a defensive mistake than an offensive
An
possession.
offensive
So
point. Got it. Got it. Okay.
you know how he is already.
Okay. And as far as y'all talking about wanting to get a point guard. So are you guys on the fence on McBride? And don't forget, we also have another point guard that's overseas for us that they stashed away. Would you like to see him in the summer league and then in training camp, and then would y'all make your decision then, or do you just want to just go out and get that point guard right, right then and there?
Depends on what type of team we're trying to construct. I
Okay.
mean, if you're not worried about going to the playoffs,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter who you can start anybody. If you're not
Right.
worried about going to the playoffs, if you're trying to unseed 7 through 10, Brooklyn,
Right. Yeah.
Cleveland,
Yeah.
Atlanta,
Yeah.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
if you're trying to put together a team to unseed one of those so that you can get into the play-in, I just think we need a stronger team.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need a stronger team. And I'm not sure Quickly is a starting point guard on a playoff team unless those other four positions are really, really strong,
Right.
have
I agree
really
with you on
strong
that.
starters. But if you're not trying to get to the playoffs, yeah, I would start. You can definitely start them. But this is what the front office said. They were disappointed that they didn't make the playoffs,
Hmm.
and they thought they would take another step this year. So the front office expected to take another step this year. Now,
Right.
will that change now? Or are they still expecting to rebound and take another step next year?
Hmm.
If they are, I'm not sure this roster does it.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Right. 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 I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
Yeah.
they need to upgrade at the point, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I
because
but
Kemba is not it.
No. Oh no. 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 Not at all.
no,
That was a
Kimba's
smoke
not it.
screen for me. I was blinded by science. As they would
Right.
say, I was blinded by science.
But anyway, any last words? Anything you didn't get a chance to say about Knicks under 25? Anything you didn't get a chance to say about the front office priority? And then if not, just you could say that together with your last words.
um, well, as I said before, hopefully we could trade for a point guard in the off season. Um, and I have to go. Also, I like Kev's point also too. The coach and the front office they have to be on one page, and I think we got to keep on building, as Leon said in the draft, and and uh, and play the youth and keep building with these guys and Steph, even though you want to trade Randall, I still think he could get right. But I think if he don't get right by the All-Star break, by the trade season, I think we may trade him if we don't trade him this off season. So
Are you
I would
talking about
like to
trade
keep
deadline?
him. The only thing I worry about is just his difficulty honing his emotions and him just imploding at times when we need him to be focused. That's the
I
only
I,
issue.
I think he could. I think he could control his emotions. I think he sees how to deal with it now. You know, because I think you go through something for a period of time, and then after you get used to it and know how to control it. So, in my opinion, I think he's going to overcome that. Now, as far as putting effort in
Mhm.
his game on the defensive end and doing all of that, he has to show that. And if he doesn't show that, we ready to see, we're gonna see it. We're gonna point it out, and you're gonna have to go. So, um, as far as I
But
said, as
you
far as
have
mental,
faith that he's going to turn it around. I just haven't seen any
Yeah,
indication of
any
it.
any
well,
evidence?
I mean, look, Kev won Westbrook to come here. I think even you, I don't know if you said that, but
I
if
didn't
he
say that.
comes here and have a good year because due to a different scenery,
Hmm.
and he has a good year, I mean, after shooting all those bricks. So, I mean, look, you do if you don't do. So let's see what happened this year if he do stays and do turn it around. It's just time will tell right now. Right now, we just speculating.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are. But I said if. I said
Right,
if he
right,
could
right,
turn
right,
it
right.
around, I would love to have him back.
Well, that's
But
what I say.
if he
Let's just
can't,
see what happened.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Well,
has to go. He has to go. He has to go. He has to
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
He has to go.
Um,
So as usual, thanks for having me.
of
You
course.
already know Queen
Hey,
is always a
hey,
pleasure. Enough love and enough
absolutely,
respect.
absolutely,
Enough
Appreciate you.
absolutely.
respect,
You
Queen.
you are you are an
Blessings to you.
icon. You are an
Blessings.
Ah,
icon.
I
You
don't
are
know
an
about
icon.
that, but I
Yes, you
appreciate
are
you, Kev.
icon. Yes, you are a icon.
Oh,
Yo,
any
Kevin, something else, boy.
any last words, Kev?
No, again, thanks so much for having me. Finally, because that was on my part. I apologize for it, but yeah. Again, I just need to. When I was talking about the front office has to be on the same page with the coach, he may Tips may be on the same page with Leon Rose, but he's not on the same page. I don't think he was on the same page with World Wide West or any of those other guys. So that's what I was
Mm,
saying. How the front office they have to be
yeah.
in sync, with each other.
But I
And
wonder, Kev, sometimes they have disagreements and the coach can't get every player they want. So I wonder if
Facts.
sometimes the front office will override the coach, and or maybe that happened, with Kemba. And maybe he got
well,
his way in certain other ways, like with McBride and Grimes and
right,
players that he
right.
really wanted
Well,
in the
well, here's the
draft.
thing. Here's my problem. You got a guy. They gave you a guy in Cam Reddish, and like many of us, or maybe I'm speaking for myself, I expected him to play game two or game three. No, more game two, from the first time that he had gotten there. And it
But
took, I don't know
how,
how many
Kev?
games. Huh?
Kev. So what?
The reason,
So let me
the
just
reason why,
ask you this question. Let me
yeah,
ask you this
okay.
question. You have your rotation already.
Okay.
You have the players you playing.
Okay.
They trade for Knox, who's not in the rotation,
Right.
for a player that's now could be
That's
a rotation player, talented enough.
and
So
20
hold
times
on,
player than 20
hold on.
times better than him.
So what you're saying is he should just just go to somebody in that rotation and say, you know what? We're taking you out of the rotation because we traded for somebody. So now you're no longer going to play. You're going to be out of the rotation. Even though I trust you, even though you've played on this team all of this time, you know, you're no longer going to play because we traded for this guy yesterday.
Okay, so at the time, and I mean, we're gonna put it out on the table. It was for Fournier. That's why I wanted out of the rotation because not only was his defense suffering immensely, but his offense was suffering as well at the time. Because now, towards the end, Fournier's kind of changed my mind a little bit. He's been playing very well, but at the time, I wanted Cam in the place of Reddish.
But Kev,
I
how
mean
does
Cam in
that
Reddish,
work?
and Cam in the place of
But Kev,
Fournier.
you've played on the basketball team though.
Hmm.
How does that work? You just bring somebody in and you just go to a starter and say, because you're struggling right now, you're out. And I'm going to bring this guy in who barely has practiced with us, but he's going to take your spot because we gave up a first round pick for him. Like, how do you I mean, I get it. It's an issue. It's an issue when you trade for a talented guy who's good enough to be in your rotation.
Was he wasn't getting any time at all at the time. He wasn't getting any, getting any run, no minutes or anything. That's what I had a problem with. Yes, I wanted him to start over Fournier, and that was my own desire, pretty much. But Cam wasn't getting any time at all. So that's what I'm saying, that he didn't. That's what I was upset at, that he wasn't getting any time at all. And and I see everybody in the chat talking about save it for the next stream. Okay, that's all I was saying.
No, it's okay. No, but listen, I think it's just the timing. Like, you're saying 2 games into coming, we should have took.
That's what he said. That's exactly what he said.
That was my desire. That was my desire. Okay,
right. That's a little different than over time. You saw that Burks was struggling. Like, there was a time when Burks was struggling for a long time. You could argue that at that point, Reddish would have been on the team for a while at that point. You can argue that Reddish was better than Burke at that point because Burke just wasn't playing well. But I don't know about 2 games in putting him
he doesn't even know the playbook like that yet.
And to answer your question, the team that I was on, there was a player that came in halfway in the season. He didn't start.
Took your spot?
He didn't take my spot. He didn't start, but he finished the he finished the game and everything. Finished the games pretty much. So that's about it. But that's it. That's all I have to say.
All right.
But again, thank you so much for having me. I hate Sims. I hate him right now.
Not. Oh, you talking about Sam, not the player.
Yeah, that's the player. I'm talking about Sim. He put something in the chat. He didn't take Kev's spot because Kev he's
spot was at the end of the bench.
I averaged 5 a game, so there you go. I wasn't really efficient, as you say. I wasn't really that much efficient, but I was in there.
Mo, I agree with you. He could have taken Burks' spot once he was here for a while. There was a stretch when Burks was not playing well at all. But anyway, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Richie Martinez, Marvin, I can't pronounce your last name. David, D Coolis 718. D Public Enemy, Mo, Keyshawn, Kevin Bergen, Joe D. McIver, and all the rest of you. I appreciate you rocking with us today. Stafford Don, I appreciate you and your insights.
Yeah.
So you're welcome on the show anytime. Kev, I give you a hard time as well, but I appreciate you. And you're welcome on the show.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Anytime. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime we go live. We got you covered for all of your off-season needs. Yes, hit that like button.
Hit that thumbs up for your girl.
Out of here. And for those that don't know, I do have a channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. So if you haven't already, please, after the stream, go over there and subscribe. I appreciate you. I'll probably go live sometime this week. Peace. We out of here.